Right then folks, I am having one of the best days fishing I've had in a long time, probably all winter actually. The weather's bang on for it. We are at the beautiful Woodlands View fishery and I'm doing a little bit of, at the minute I'm doing maggot shore. I came sort of like wanted to fish maggots today rather than pellets, but it's turned out like it'd been an awesome pellet day. But one of my favourite methods in the whole wide world, when it's colder and then but when it gets into like warmer, so spring if you like, but we're not into spring yet, we're nowhere near spring, is loose feeding maggots out of your hand and then fishing rigs, you know, a couple of rigs through the water and one to get straight down to where they are, and it's working phenomenally well. I can't tell you how good this style of fishing is. I absolutely love it. Started off out long, you know, on a light rig. I'll talk you through the rigs in a sec. I'm like a 412s rig, just tapping a bit of bait in, but it's not for me that, folks, you know what I mean? I've seen a few fish top and all that, so I've got a short swimming where I've been loose feeding since the start, and out long I've had a couple of F1s, but I was getting a few little small fish, so picked catty up, pinged a few maggots in over the top, probably putting like 30 in, but then I was getting like loads of fish, like some golden ruds, some like normal Roger ruds like through the water, but missing loads of bites. So I've come short where I've been putting maggots in, and it's been good. I've had some massive, not roach, I've just had a big skimmer, sort of £1.5, and I've had sort of 5 or 6 great big F1s. It's beautiful fishing. So the rig that I've started off on out there would be like me, I suppose my traditional sort of maggot rig, if you like, for like colder water. 0.16 AccuPower mainline on both. I've got the 9 Duraslip elastic on this one. Just got a little babby pot on the end, which these pots are bang on because you can fill them up, dunk them in the water, and like all your maggots stay in. Then you can pop the maggots out and they just sort of like go into a clump. So yeah, 0.16 mainline, 2 number 8s back shot. What's that, 6-7 inches above the float, I suppose. And we've got just a simple 412s F1 maggot float on. 412s carbon stem, just so that I can do a few different things with it. I can hold a tight line to it, so I can, you know, proper look to see if the fish are intercepting that bait through the water, or I can, the way I've got it shotted, I can sort of lay it in, bring it back, flop the rig over, cheeky, so it just can like settle in one. There's so many fish through the water out there though. This is when I'm fishing long. I have fished it short, but the other rig is miles better at the minute. All we've got down the line is nice and simple. We've got 3 number 9s shots, sort of like, what's that, inch and a bit apart, and then we've got 4 number 10s down the line. Hook length, hook lengths, folks, the best in the world. We're using 0.11 18s SFLB, straight out of the packet, no messing around, 6 inches. As I said, when they're having it sort of like confident this time of year, it's irrelevant. Obviously you can play around with this shot, you can put that on your hook length if you want, move it closer, you know, to really sort of show up them bites, but when they're having it and you can fish over depth, it doesn't really matter. The trouble I've got with this rig, it's just not positive enough at the minute, folks. It was alright to start with, as I said, it was alright out long, but then I just started missing loads of bites and I wasn't getting down to where the fish were. They're not high up in the water, they're sort of like low, you know, sort of like in the bottom third. So that's why I wasn't lazy, folks. Got off my box, set another rig up in it, and I set up this one more so for sort of the short line, but also out there. And all it is, so different elastic, because you know there's a lot of sort of roach feeding, road skimmers and that. I've gone for a lighter elastic on this one. We've gone for the 7s Duraslip. Perfect, cushions everything. If we hook like great big wobbly carps as well, you're going to get them out, no problem at all, because of the puller kit. Simple as that. Exactly the same mainline, folks. 0.16 AccuPower, 2 number 8s back shots again, but float wise we've gone for a 414s F1 pellet, so much more positive. It's exactly the same depth out long as what it is short, literally no difference. So you can see there we're just over 5 foot, no difference whatsoever. And then the difference with this one, with how positive it is look at that shot in. So all my shot in, well, you can see there's 18 inches, so all my shots sort of like 16 inches and lower. So we've got a bulk of number 8s, got a tiny number 11 stop there just to sort of like bring that float a little bit lower. and then we've just simply got 2 number 10s droppers on. Exactly the same up length, again straight out of the packet, 18s SFLB, 0.11, and it's just working an absolute treat. I'm just fishing double red maggot on it, tried double white, tried white and a red, but double red seems to be best by far. The beauty of this rig is that I'm just getting down to where the fish are nice and quick. Still getting like odd bites sort of through the water, but what you'll notice when we go into fishing in a sec, I've got my float bristle sort of, I'm going to say 4 mil out, maybe a bit more, 5 mil. I did have another number 11 there that really dotted it down. I put a little bit of grease on, but I was striking at everything, you know, any little dink in that, which sometimes you've got to for F1s, but the trouble I've got today is obviously there's that many fish there, which is amazing, that it's showing up as line bites on the float, so that's why I've taken the shot off, and any of them little dinks I'm ignoring them until it goes proper under. The fish are the right having it. I'm probably on both rigs I'm like 1.5 inches, 2 inches over depth. In fact, I plumbed up literally to sort of like middle of the body of my float. Obviously if it's windy I'd have come down here a bit, but middle of the body of the float, and it's been brilliant. This rig has been 10 times better than the sort of like, even though it's positive that we're still catching through the water in that bottom third where we want to be. But yeah, no, it's been brilliant, catching loads of fish, loose feeding large portions of maggots. So you'll see when we get fishing, I'm giving them sort of, I'm going to say 30, maybe 40 maggots, like double feed, so they're getting sort of 70, 80 maggots every go in. But you know, you can't just sort of like go all guns blazing like I normally do. You've got to fill your way into a session. You can't just think, oh right, they're going to have it today. I started off, as I said, putting it out there and loose feeding short, so give myself 2 different options. And when I've come short, it was like noticeable that, yeah, they're eating. So you can give them that bait. Everything swimming's going to eat it, and that is why I love this way of fishing so much. Already we've had little baby perch, we've had golden rudd, normal rudd, we've had roach, we've had skimmers, we've had hybrids, we've had normal F1s, we've had ghost F1s. You know what I mean? That's 8 species of fish already. We've only been fishing just over an hour. But you'll see like the beauty of it, just loose feeding out your hand, getting to know what the fish are doing. Obviously if you wanted to bring them higher, get them off the bottom. I'm waffling now. You know how much I love waffling now, folks. That's when you sort of like cut down the amount you're feeding, but more often. So rather than double feeding 30 or 40, you'd sort of feed once, maybe sort of like 6 to 10, but more often every sort of 30 seconds. At the minute I'm waiting for my fish, and then when I go in again I'm feeding again. But that might not be right. I might have to catch sort of like 2, 3 fish off one big feed. It's certainly better loose feeding rather than putting a bait in, because I'm just not getting nowhere near as many fish in. Obviously if it was cold and the fish weren't having it as much, potting would be better, keeping them in a nice tight area. But as it is a minute, I can fish around my swim. It's beautiful in that, you know, it's sort of the same depth everywhere. I've plumbed it up all over the place. I've gone up to 14.5 long, and it's the same depth from like top kit and 2 on all the way out. It's proper fishing. So I think I need to go and get Snarl back up in him. So let's see exactly how we're doing it. Ba-doing! Right then, you lovely lot. So I'm going on with a positive rig. So the bulk and 2 droppers. Double red magpie has been by far the best today. Now, experiment, folks, when you're hooking your bait. The trouble sometimes, especially when you're catching lots of roach and skimmers, or any fish to be fair, but roach and skimmers are the main culprits for overfolding the bait on the hook. So try experiment with how you're hooking it. I've always found it best, Joe zooming in a bit on this, to like hook them through the tip, you know, rather than sort of like the fat end, where the breathing vents are, hook them through the tip so all your hook's exposed. And I've always found it better that you've got a little bit of line over depth as well. Bigger hooks can make a difference as well. Am I going to say it makes a difference? Yeah, it can make a difference. I tend to use bigger hooks when the fish are competing through the water, because then they just charge into it, then it doesn't really matter. But when I'm on the bottom, they can get, they have a chance to inspect it. That's why I like to use a slightly smaller one. But I'll never ever in the world ever will I go smaller than 18s? I don't think it makes a blind bit of difference. So I've got 2 red maggots hooked through the tip on that, and I'm shipping out. I mean, even though the depth's the same everywhere, you'll know from like our fish, folks, that I do love, and I bang on about it all the time, lining up with my marker. So basically I've got my number 6 section behind me, and I've got the joint at the end of my number 5 on the top of my knee, which is like level with my front leg on my box. I've got a tree on the far bank as well, which I'm aiming for. You'll notice I'm out at a bit of an angle. There's no reason for that at all. It's mainly just because of professional skyliner, you know. And we had a bite and we missed it. But that could have been because I've just put them maggots in. You know what I mean? We could have had to be fair, I wasn't looking. Were you zoomed in on that and everything? I wasn't looking. It might have been under half an hour. So let me concentrate. So we've double fed it, and I'm going to wait now until I get a fish. Not a bite. I'm not going to feed after a bite. I'm going to wait until I get a fish, and then I'll go back in again, double feed it. And if I don't think it's right, I'm waiting a bit too long for a bite, or I'm far looking him, or whatever, then I'll experiment with that feeding. I might have to catch sort of 2 or 3 off one feed. I don't know, but it has been noticeable that I've got to keep putting that bait in. Certainly every go in, double feed. Now out there, when I started loose feeding, I was getting loads of like funny bites, indications on floats, and that was obviously fish through the water. The beauty of double feeding heavy like I am doing, is pushing them fish down. So your first lot of feed obviously brings the fish in, your second lot right over the top, it's just getting them in that column. And it's, I'm going to say it's quite important that you try and, sort of focus your feed in one area. I mean, obviously you're going to get some degree of spread, but you want to get it, quite tight. You want to get it quite tight over an area. What we're going to say, sort of 2-3 foot square, something like that. So you saw we had a little tiny dink then, and that's what I was striking at before. The first little dink would have sent me float under. The little perch. Oh, it's a rudd. Now, what are rudds doing on the bottom? What are rudds doing on bottom, Joe? You know what I mean? Little babby rudds. That's because we've had a bit of a break. So I reckon another little babby one we'll probably catch, and then we should be into something a little bit decent. What was I talking about before? I was waffling. I'm waffling. I forget where I'm up to. So that first little dink we had, obviously that was that fish sucking that bait in, and then it's gone under as it wobbled off with it. Before, I was getting them little dinks, I was striking because my float was dotted down so much, and there were false bites. You know what I mean? They're like liners or whatever. Whereas I can afford to have a little bit more bristle sticking out, so I'm not striking at false bites. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's inevitable when there's a little dink then. It's inevitable, and another dink then, when there's a few fish there, especially rudds, that you are going to get the odd sort of like false bite, and that's why, as you can see, my float's like a blooming lighthouse, but I need it for like this style of fishing. Otherwise, I'll just be striking at thin air, or I'll be like foul-looking fish. I hope I'm making sense with that. I know what I mean. Yeah, just have a little bit more bristle out. Just to, not eliminate the line bites, but show up proper bites as opposed to line bites. So you see, there's some up there now, some up there. Are we going to strike at that? I think that's taking it, that, No, I'm not going to strike at it. So they have been like proper hanging on. As I said, we're like 1.5 inches, 2 inches over or something like that. You'll notice when I'm laying it in as well, I'm not sort of like flicking it out, holding a tight line. I just want to get straight down to where the fish are. So I'm laying it out. There's not really much undertow on it, but I'm laying it out to the side, pulling my shots back so it's over my marker, and then flopping my float right over it, thump. So that's a little perch or something. No, if it was a bigger one, I would have fed over the top then, and that's worth mentioning as well. Little babby perch. So these can be absolute nightmare at times, a little babby perch. But the beauty of them is they don't chew your hook bait, and it's probably the only fish that I won't change my bait on, a perch, because they don't chew it. Anything else, I'd always change it. So you saw there, I've laid it out to the side, brought my bulk back, right over to my marker, flop my float over it, and then you're fishing straight away. So a good double feed over that. And experiment with your hook bait as well. I mean, double red's been miles better today, but sometimes whites is better. As I say, red and the white as well. And then any coloured bait as well. That was a bit better, that. So when I've hooked a bigger fish, I reckon this is a big roach, then put some bait in over the top. Just so, like, any fish that this is potentially spooked, you're getting them straight back into the peg. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, it doesn't get any better than this. other than fishing stick float or waggler or slider, for like commercial style or, you know, oh, it's a little one. I thought it was a big roach, but it's like that, you know. So what we had 3 species and 3 puts in. We've had a little birch, a little rudd, and then we've got that little one. But like proper weight builders. You know what I mean? Come on, Joe. He's on it. Yeah, boy. Proper weight builders. That's like, even that's little and babby, it's still probably 8 or 10 ounce or something. And it's just building up, building up. I said we'd catch a bigger one, didn't I? I know what I'm talking about sometimes, folks. After that initial, like, 1 or 2 little babby ones, should get a bigger one. But I definitely think that makes a difference. Putting some bait in, once you hook something different, if you notice, when you hook something different, it's like that shaky head, and it can potentially spook other fish there. I mean, if there's loads there, then obviously they're just going to get straight back into your peg. It's not going to make a blind bit of difference. But if there's not, you know what I mean, they're not swimming around in massive shoals, you need to make sure that you're putting bait in so that you are attracting them back. So at the minute, I don't need to change anything. I don't need to change my feeding. Large portions after every one. The other thing as well that I can't stress enough is not to feed past. See, that was, oh no, it was. That might be far looked actually. Or is it a carp? What are we saying? I might have to set the hook again. I think that's a carp. Yeah, boy, he's still feeding on me maggots. He's gone back for a feed. So I had like a little wobble before that, which I thought was a liner, but he doesn't know he's hooked. He's still feeding on me bait, this one. I think it might be a carp, that, you know. But again, so I've double fed over that because I think we might be playing for this for some time. Wish me luck, folks. There's some whoppers in here. But the beauty, this time of year, they don't really, I've said it now, haven't I? They don't really fight hard. This isn't very happy, this one. There's like, I don't know, I'm not even sure if it's far looked or not either. Because I said I had a bit of a wobble and then sort of lifted it rather than struck. What I don't want to do, there's no right and wrong with it. Usually I like to keep my pole nice and low. I never want to lift it high, but sometimes changing the angle on your pole when you're using the right soft elastic can make a difference. So, I don't even know if it's foul hooked or not. I'd have said it was foul hooked because we had a bit of a wobble on the float, but it's not fighting like it's foul hooked. I had a bit of an head shake then. What fishing like? Decentish gear, you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of light elastics this time of year. It's just, yeah, no, he's alright. I think he's foul hooked, but I don't think he's massive. It's definitely foul hooked. Definitely. So it falls off. Well, it's one of them, isn't it? Just need a bit of luck. Keep that bait going. And yeah, what I was saying before, I don't really want to feed past where I'm fishing to push them fish out. Although I'll, you know, fish left and right and maybe put my rig past where I'm fishing, I don't want to put the bait out there. I've had a blooming swirl on them maggots. You get shallow rig out, folks, don't I? I say it's just like 6 degrees warmer than it has been for weeks, and the fish just wake up like that. It's amazing. I'm absolutely loving it. Are you going to let me count it? Even if it's like foul, it's definitely foul hooked. I might have to go for the scoop. I might have to go for a scoop. I'm going to be a little bit quiet in a sec as I go to scoop it. Just need to get it swimming in the right direction. Come on then, fishies. Let me get it swimming in the right direction and I'm going to go in. It might even be an F1 and it's dorsal or something. Oh no, it's not an F1. It's not an F1, folks. Oops. Right, come on. Let me see them shots. I'm going scooping. I like a bit of scoopage. See, you just take your time with it. You see, like I've stripped a lot of elastic back, so it's under quite a bit of pressure. Oh, it's a lovely one. Come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Just need him to come a little bit closer in. I'm going to go for him. Come on, come on. Come back for another feed on me, magpies. Here we go, we should have, come on. it's just in his peck, but we scooped him in somehow. Yeah, boy, that's a nice common, that. Proper bonus on a day like today. But if it was a silvers match, you'd have to put it straight back. But it's not a silvers match. It's a beautiful common. So obviously, all right, I can't get away in that it's far hooked and it's pectoral, but it's come into that bait, so I fully expect to snare a few carp, to be fair. I thought, we knew something big was there, so let me get it out of its fin and I can show you a lovely lot. Still having an holding shot, even though we've like not hooked it proper. Beautiful common. Look at that for a nice coldy, wintry commony. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. I've on it, Joe. He's on it. Alright, let's get him in. Beautiful fish. And like I said, this time of year, catching everything, it's just amazing. Absolutely love it. So main thing to check for on big old snarly carps, big old wobbly carps like that, make sure your shots are in the same position, which they are. No slam on the line. If your bait was on, change it. Man, I could have got away with that one because it was in its peck. They all count, folks, they all count. But the main thing is we knew that we're there. I say that if I'd have been on heavy elastic, I don't think we'd have had him out. The fact that we're on a light elastic to cushion everything, that's where you can get these big fish out. So double feed it. You see, I'm trying really hard not to feed past where I'm fishing. Even though it's going over a bit of an area, I always love to line up. So I've got my joint and my pole on my front leg, and I'm lining up with that was a little dink then, with a tree in the distance. So yeah, it's just a phenomenal way of fishing. When you can give them a bit of bait, you literally don't know what you're going to catch next, as I've just proved. So that's like 4 different species and 4 puts in. Lifting and dropping the rig. You know what I'm like, folks. I love lifting and dropping, but Jamie and Andy Bennett, they're finally working on me, and I don't tend to lift it as much anymore. Oh, yeah, so we saw that first little dink, that fish sucking it in, and then obviously the second one, it's just wobbling off with it. Striking them before, I wasn't hitting them. What we got? We got another rod. Go on, the rods. Might be a little bit of a goldeny rod, that one as well. Give me a golden one for that. Give me a golden one for that, wouldn't you? Oh, we'll have to swing it then. I love how they like wave the fins at you. Hi, I'm Mr. Rudd. Love them. Love a rod. What are they doing? What are they doing on the bottom now? Do they not know the rods are supposed to be surface feeders? Imagine if it's like, I always think a rod, when you catch them on the bottom, they've like seen it come in, they're like, swam right down to get it. You know what I mean? You've got to have a laugh, ain't you? But again, snared me hook bait. Even though it looked alright, the bottom of the maggot, if you like, was slightly nicked, so change it every time. There's only perch you can get away with. We had a little dink on the drop then. Yes, that's better. So even though that first lot of magpies went a little bit to the right, the second one came in straight where I want to. I'm not bothered about that. Again, it's the fact that it's not going past where I'm fishing. Just fish like this all day, it's so good. Sometimes you might need to rest it because you are putting quite a lot of bait in, but if no one else is doing it and there's a lot of silvers in the venue where you're fishing, then it's amazing. You just get away with it. You catch really well. You've got to prime it first, so yeah. I'm not going to say you can go straight in on it. You've got to prime it for a bit first. I've left it probably hour up to 90 minutes, and I've gone in on it, and it's been good. It's been miles better than this positive rig. Just get straight down to him. This is the stage that you want to get at, where you're not getting any liners or anything like that. Your float's just sat there, and then you're just getting that dunk. That nice fast dink, and that's the beauty using, as I said, double maggot. It's a bigger standout hook bait, and then just there we had a little dink. Then is he still on? He's still there. So again, there's either something big that just brushed the line. There's definitely nothing through the water because I've not fed, or then maggots will be on the bottom now. So we're just waiting for it to bury. We have missed obviously a few bites, which you always will do in maggot fishing, but most of the time when it goes, it's on. It's refreshing. It's nice now using obviously, having me float with a bit of bristle showing. Because for so long I've had it like, I can't even see me blooming float, you know, like 1 mil, 1.2 mil bristles, and dotted right down. So you saw that one. The reason I stuck on that before it went under was because it was a right fast bite. Someone had been messing around on it for a while, but it was like hoink, nice and quick. So either an F1 or a skimmer this. Put some baiting over the top of it as well. Go on, be a big skimmer. Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of bristle out. You can read so much with it. Oh, it's a big swan. We love these swans. You know what I mean? For how good is this fishing? For me, say it don't get any better. Obviously, you know how much I love rod and line fishing, but that's like, I don't know what that is. That's like is it an F1? No, it's an F1. I was going to say it's like an homebred crucian-y thing. Absolutely stunning that. Look at it displaying for you. Look where he's hooked as well. JB well happy with that, folks. Literally smack bang right in the centre. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to cover. I'd just like carry on and carry on. The fish tell you when it's like, you know, when it's time to come off it. If you start catching like loads of little perch, you saw what happened when we first started. A little babby rudd, little babby perch, and then it's been pretty decent fish other than that little rudd every time. You know what I mean? So once you start going back to like little babby fish or stop getting bites, just come off it. Keep the feed going in exactly the same, but come off it and go somewhere else. Honestly, you've got to give it a go. It's just amazing! Yeah!